Hello, travelers. Welcome to the Copper Fox Inn. Come on in, take a seat, and join us as we discuss homebrew for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. My name is Thomas the Human Bard. I'm joined today by...
Mercy the Tiefling Wizard.
Onog the Half-Orc Barbarian.
And your favorite rock gnome rogue, Bean. Or maybe I'm not your favorite, and that's okay.
I don't know many other rock gnome rogues, actually, personally. I know one rock gnome artificer.
Yeah,
And I know a bunch of half-elf rogues.
I will admit that I mostly chose that combo for, like, the nice eloquence of saying it. I'm not exactly well equipped to be a rogue. I'm not very nimble. But, like, man, rock gnome rogue just really rolled off the tongue.
Yeah, it definitely does. Every time you say it, I just, like, I live in that moment. It's like honey. It's beautiful. It rolls off the tongue. All right, today I have brought something that was sent to us by Raven from someone who said that they've listened to the show and they wanted to get our feedback on something they'd created.
Yes!
Someone listens to this show?
Yeah.
Who?
My mom, but other people too.
You wait.
Thomas,
you
your
got your
mom
mom
made
to listen to
something?
the show?
Uh-huh.
My mom tried, and she said it was fun, but that she didn't understand what we were talking about.
That's fair.
Very fair, very fair. This was sent to us by Jollibee Johansson, or perhaps Johansson? I'm unsure.
I love that.
Yes, it's
Jollibee
very good.
Johansson?
Thanks, Jollibee.
Yes,
Oh, wait, would it
Jollibee
be
has-
Jollibee?
Jollibee Johansson.
Probably
They have commented on a few videos. They seem to have watched some of our stuff, and they sent this to us. They said, let me check the Raven's letter here. Opens it up. This is their first homebrew subclass. It's a bard subclass that's meant to invoke
yeah.
Broadway actors or parade performers.
Fun.
Ow.
Blew out the mic there.
You did?
Sorry.
You
I
blew
tried
out,
to
I think
look
you
away.
blew out our mic through...
I tried to look away from the mic, but I was so excited. Our
Breathe
little
away
bars.
from the mic.
I turn away from the mic to breathe.
To scream.
I just...
I turn away from the mic to scream is my new, Twitter handle.
just
Very good.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm going to breathe into the mic.
Okay, thank you.
Our mic is much more sensitive today.
So this is the Bardic College of Majesty.
I love it.
Thank you, Jollibee. We're going to enjoy looking over this. Let's begin at the top. You do not trifle with the simple matters of songs and speeches, for you are a bard of majesty. If your spells are not bombastic displays for the world to see, what is the point in performance? As a member of the College of Majesty, your desire to be seen by the masses can be used for daring feats. After all, quote, the world is a stage, and the stage is a world of entertainment. Alastair the Radio Demon.
I mean,
The radio demon. Cool.
I'm sorry, we have radio demons?
I'm Radio Demon.
No, I'm Radio Demon. Okay,
I'm Spartacus?
the first ability, the show must go on. At third level, when you fail an ability check, you can choose to re-roll the ability check as a deception check and apply it as if you had rolled the original check. This feature can be used once per long rest, so you can cover if something goes wrong.
That's so funny.
That's a
That's
great
so
ability.
funny. Oh my gosh, I love that.
That's so good!
Right? That's incredible. I love that.
And yeah, I was about to say, that is way powerful, except you can only use it once. You can only really cover once a day.
But so, basically, you go to pick up something heavy and you don't do it at first, and you just, lie, and you're like, no, I was just
Mr.
warming
Bean
up.
your way through pretending that you picked it up.
Yeah, you just, I feel
That
like
first stretch, I just was warming up, and now I'm picking it up.
Bean, you're so loud
Please
today.
turn
Yeah,
down your
hold
mic
on, hold on.
sensitivity.
What,
I don't know why
your
it is
sending
so-
stone is so
so
sensitive
loud.
today.
Okay, I thought I had turned it down.
It's okay.
Okay.
You're good.
All right, hello? Is that better?
You are
I don't know, scream.
You are quite quiet now, but we can adjust that in post.
I'm so sorry for everyone's ears and Thomas when he edits this.
We'll be okay. I feel like this ability, for me, accurately conveys the experience of being like a on-stage actor. Not many of the listeners would know this, but all of us have a pretty extensive on-stage acting experience.
That's like how we met, really.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we ended up all kind of meeting each other. And we've all been in plays and musicals and things, and so when that one moment when the other person misses their cue and you have to find a way to keep that show going, re-rolling it as a deception check, that's like, it's a beautiful, elegant version of that emotion of
I think
sheer
so
fright,
good.
but also the skill required to keep it all moving.
We've all failed the history check to remember what you were supposed to do or say, and just deceptioned our way through that.
well, I feel like it's almost even worse. Like a door will fall down on stage, you know, like something that's so clearly not supposed to happen, and like the actors just look at it and go like, darn ghosts anyway, and like keep going on with the scene.
They're like, oh, that's happened ever since these crazy winds rolled into town.
See, even the house is done with your lives.
One of my personal favorite examples, I'll do a brief aside here. I was in a show once. There was an elevator on stage that the doors would open and close as characters came in and out of scenes. For some reason, somehow, it broke, and the doors would not open. So I'm standing, ready for my entrance, and I look to the person whose job it is to open the doors when it's the right time, because it has to look like it's an automatic elevator door opening. And so there's a person off stage with the mechanism that opens the door. I nod at them to do it. They do it. Nothing occurs. Nothing happens. I vigorously nod at them, and they're just shaking their head at me. So I deftly sneak back into the wings. I wait a moment. Everyone on stage is just waiting for me to show up. I pump myself up off stage. I jog in place for a moment, get my breath going, and I walk on stage out of breath. Elevator's out. I had to take the stairs. What did I miss? And we rolled from there, and it was clean, and it worked
Nice.
enough to keep the show going.
Every actor you talk to, like, you tell a story like that, and everyone else is gonna have
Exactly.
like
I know.
some kind of cover story
I
of
once-
how they saved something.
I feel like I absolutely could have used this ability. Like, I did use this ability, basically, because one time during an audition, I, like, fell flat on my face. Like, completely tripped and just failed that dexterity
biffed
save
it.
so hard. Biffed it. Turned it into, like, this weird action chase crawling thing. It was like a scene with another partner, and he just looked at me terrified, and I was just like, go with it, and started like crawling across. It was very stupid and weird. But afterwards, they were like, wow, that was the most convincing stage fall I've ever seen. I legitimately thought you would hurt yourself. The choreography was incredible, and I got the part as I'm like bleeding.
Beautiful.
Wow, your instantaneous makeup crew that did that was so good.
I was bleeding under the skirt. They couldn't see that my knees were actively bleeding, as I was like, thank you, yes, good choreography.
So you Willy Wonka the audition, basically.
Yeah,
pretty much.
All right, let's move on to the next ability, Infectious Smile. At 3rd level, you may increase your Bardic Inspiration die to a D8 as opposed to at level 5.
Whoa!
Your Bardic Inspiration now increases to a D10 at level 5, a D12 at level 10, and a D20 at level 15.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
So
I like the idea of it. You're just a little bit more inspirational.
that's
Yeah.
very interesting. So instead of you having different things to use your inspiration die with, your inspiration die just is statistically better than everyone else's.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As we continue reading on, this doesn't have a Bardic Inspiration die expenditure ability that, like, even like Lore Bard can use it on themselves, and like College of Swords can use it for maneuvers. This doesn't have any of that, and so they've gone with the option of just making it more powerful across the board, but you will have less use for it than other Bardic classes, or the Bardic subclasses.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
It's a version of
kinda
it. I don't
balances.
hate it. I like that it implies this. It's literally your Bardic Inspiration die is
Animal
supposed to
magnetism
represent
kinda.
your animal magnetism. So it's like you're just so much of a performer that even compared to other bards, like you outshine even them.
Yeah. There's a lot of vaudeville kind of vibes to this that I really dig.
Yeah.
They may be more specifically trained, but it's kind of like it's the jack of all trades for the jack of all trades.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, this next ability, go with me on it. It doesn't work mechanically, really.
It does not function.
But
Okay.
I love the concept, and I wanted to chat a bit about it. All eyes on me in the center of the ring, just like a circus. Ba-da-da-ba. At 6th level, you can use an action to summon a crowd of people to watch your exploits.
Okay.
This, not like a phantasmal crowd of people. A
You
real
summon
one.
real human beings.
Summon them. This crowd acts as difficult terrain.
You get paparazzi around you.
Wait. However, you and a number of people you choose equal to your charisma modifier can move through the crowd normally. This feature can be used once per long rest.
Oh man.
You draw a big crowd to yourself, and it imposes difficult terrain. So here's some problems, real quick. It doesn't tell me what size, how big of an area this covers for
Yeah.
difficult terrain. That needs to
Yeah.
be in there. I need some details mechanic-wise.
yeah.
2, and this is addressed in the boxed text below it. Viability note for all eyes on me.
I actually was thinking it would be fun if, and then this is what they said in the box. So I'm happy that they-
Yeah. If you happen to be in an area without a great deal of people, such as a forest or a graveyard, this feature can summon creatures appropriate to the environment.
Yes.
Such as fey onlookers or a crowd of ghosts.
Yes.
This is obviously up to the DM as to where this feature will work best. Obviously, a single prison cell probably cannot attract a mob.
What if it's all the
Okay.
rats?
But here's the
I was
thing.
gonna say it could be animals.
Here's the thing. I get it, I like it, but the problem is if your like class features don't work in a single prison cell, what are like, you know what I'm like?
What if you're like a Disney princess though, who icing and like all the rats and
Yeah.
mice come running into the prison cell? You know.
Or you Rapunzel it, and all the criminals in the surrounding area come
They
and
all
applaud
break
you.
out of their cells to come to your cell.
All the fish burst out of the water.
So, there's some ways that we could easily address this. One is we can just make it a strictly magical interaction and say that you summon a crowd of fey spirits, and it's just
There's, like-
always that. They just come out of
there's-
nowhere, but you can summon them, and it's always that they're always available. It doesn't matter like your surroundings necessarily. You can flavor it as they're in the form of like local animals and stuff, but that addresses the problem of not having the material to work with of people nearby you. Because like if you're in the middle of an empty desert, I still want to use this ability, and I don't want to have to argue with my DM whether or not it will work, right?
I
abilities
understand.
abilities should work without me having to argue with my DM about their
Yeah,
viability.
this
That's
is
the problem,
very much
right?
a point of contention
Yeah,
with the DM.
because I don't want it to be that the DM goes, are there really enough people around for a crowd, though? And so, like, that's the problem. Because, like, this is a great concept, but I want it to be mechanically reliable, so I don't have to have that as a DM. I don't want to have to worry about that, and as a player, I don't want to have to argue about it.
I do
Yeah.
think that you could get around it not being applicable 100% of the time. Like, you could put a stipulation on there, like, if there are creatures, like
You
X
could
number
say-
of creatures within this vicinity, it summons them.
Okay.
If you then buff the ability, like, make it more powerful.
Because currently it makes it difficult terrain, which
Right.
isn't the biggest thing in the world.
But if it also increases your AC or gives you advantage or something like
Yeah.
that, then I think
Or,
you
like,
could
gives
make
you
it
cover.
limited.
Yeah.
This is probably too powerful, but what if, like, so it's basically the idea is like it's like a beetle fever. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you
you're
can't
drawing this huge
control-
crowd to chase you. Yeah.
Yeah, but what if like your charisma and your aura was so great that even your enemies couldn't resist kind of cheering you on? And so what if
okay,
like
okay.
you had a possibility of like you sent out like a poof, and even enemies in a distance of you might be affected by it and come and be part of the like fangirl crowd around you.
Bean, that's a great point, and that's something that I had been considering. I was wondering if maybe we could
thinking-
we could tie this into some like spell mechanics that already exist. There is Otto's Irresistible Dance. Maybe you create a dance number around yourself that they have to pass a check, or else they unwillingly like must participate in your Broadway dance number that you've begun performing.
They just start doing jazz squares.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
call the ability 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, something like that. Or if you want it to be this all eyes on me, drawing a crowd to look at you, some version of like an enthrall ability where they have
Or like a charm.
like a charm or an enthrall where they have disadvantage on noticing other people, they have to look at you, that kind of stuff. That way you could maybe use it situationally to distract a big crowd or something.
Or when you crack that whip, everybody gone trip.
Just
Something
like a
that,
circus, yeah.
You have a whip ability. If you do the whip, everyone around you must make a save throw or be knocked prone.
Yeah, they
Or
have to
do-
make a dexterity
or do the
saving
name,
throw,
eh?
or they trip.
All right. Any other ideas about this before we move on to the final one?
Just a quick note. While
Yeah.
I would guess that the idea of difficult terrain isn't as important as the idea of you have like a crowd of paparazzi fangirl types around you. And so probably, saying like, oh, you summon phantasmal forces that create difficult terrain. I don't know if that would...
That has the same flavor.
It's not the
No.
same point,
Sure.
and so...
So then maybe it is like a blast that a charm effect that you blast out in a certain area, and people who fail the check flock to you, and if there's enough people that failed the check, then they provide you cover and difficult terrain and all those sorts of things.
So like if you get enough people, you also get like cover and
benefits.
or difficult terrain.
Which then motivates you to, instead of this thing of like trying to argue whether or not there's enough people around, it motivates your play style to say, I run into the crowd and then I do this ability. Because
Yeah.
now I know I'm going to get more people in it.
I am trying desperately to think of a way
Yes.
for that exactly, because I like that as a way of addressing it, but still be able to summon ghosts, because I do want... Look, I'm just your
ghosts
friendly
are you.
neighborhood goth GF, and I want a bunch of
Look,
ghosts.
you can flavor it that way, I guess, but this isn't a build about ghosts. This is a build about being a star.
Yes.
Where's the Bard College of the Goth GF? Someone make that and send it to me.
Whispers, I believe, is the one.
Yeah.
Make a new one.
All right, we'll work on that next time.
I want
Do it
whatever
again.
I want whatever Bard College Elvira went to.
Yeah, for sure. The Bardic College of the Mistress of the Night. Yes, fair enough. The final ability, Showstopper, which of course that's got to be the name of it, right? Like we all agree. At 14th level, you can use an action. Hear me out on this. To give a number of creatures other than yourself the ability to take an action on this turn as part of a well choreographed
Oh,
maneuver.
man.
That's
Wait,
our once more
so
with feeling.
Here's the thing is, I've been excited about this whole build because Onog and I, I think I mentioned it before, for another thing I was doing, I was playing a character on a show where I was this like 40s bombshell type character.
Sure.
And we created the College Bard of the Divas. And we had a feeling just like, a maneuver just like this called Once More with Feeling. And it inspired everyone to basically be able to take another action. It was almost this exactly.
So, kind of. This is a little bit different. It's an interesting.
Okay.
So, this applies for a number of creatures up to your charisma modifier. This does not count as the creature's action in the turn order, but rather as an extra action provided by you. The feature can be used
Right.
once per long rest. But the thing is, they happen on your turn.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's what our
we
ability
had,
was.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
okay,
is pretty
okay.
much exactly that
For
ability.
my
awesome.
action, I give everyone else an action they can take on my turn. It still happens in initiative order, but that's what I do, is like, all right, everyone, once more, Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, this
awesome.
is super cool.
it's a great ability. When I used it on the show, we killed the monster like that round.
Immediately.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
this,
powerful
this is literally
ability.
a showstopper.
Now, I will say this. The guy who killed the monster got all the credit for winning the day, even though I was the one who gave him the action.
All right, I see how
Now-
it is being.
No, I'm not saying I'm bitter about it.
She's saying she's a diva.
No, what I'm saying is, now this is a great move. It is also an ultimate supporting class move.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if you have to keep in mind that, like, this kind of turns attention away from you. You are taking your action to let other people do stuff. And it's a great move. I love this move. It's one of my favorite abilities you can have. But keep in
you are
mind,
right.
Now you're the supporting role.
if the point of this is you are the star, and the flavor you want is like, all eyes on me, I'm the star, then you don't, you take that away from yourself with this ability. And so it's an amazing ability. I'm all for it. I love it. I have literally utilized this mechanic to my advantage. But just keep in mind that you are now taking attention and role play away from yourself. And
Very
so
fair,
even though
very
it
fair.
might be the thing you do, someone else will get that glory moment.
So here's the question. How do you feel? Hear me out on this one. I agree, and that putting that away doesn't seem like it's the vibe of this class. It seems like you kind of want that for yourself. You want it to be that you did the showstopper, not everyone else.
In
So
all honesty, the bard is a supporting class.
yes.
for sure.
Yes,
So
but
that's
this
just
is-
going to happen.
Not
Even-
the flavor of this, though.
Mhm, but even so, even if your actions are supportive, giving everyone else actions, it's a little different. But how do you feel about this? Flip it around here. For the number of, like, you could say, allies up to your charisma modifier near you, you got to give it a range of some kind. You get one additional action on this turn. So it's if you're with your dance crew, like your party, and they support you, they're basically all like assisting you by giving you extra actions, and
They're like your backup dancers.
Yeah, and they're doing stuff like clearing the way as you run
They
by.
throw you the axe and
Yeah.
catch the dagger, and you jump off their hands.
Yeah.
Fling at the bad
So-
guy.
But you
Is
get
it-
the bunch of actions, but you can still use them for bard kind of stuff, right? Because bards can do stuff as actions. You can go take the help action for a couple of people. You can cast an extra spell, maybe, like that kind of stuff.
So, like, maybe you have a party of 6, so on your turn, including you, on your turn, you could take 5 actions because you have that many allies.
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
kind of fun.
That's a lot of vicious mockeries in a row.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. What's the showstopper? Like, what's more of a showstopper? All of the rest of your team doing thing, or you doing 5 vicious mockeries in a row on the same guy?
I think if you were committed to this mechanic as it is, you could almost sort of split into 2 subclasses based off of this idea, and you could have that one that's more focused on I'm the center of attention, and you could have another one that's called like backup dancer or supporting role that is more focused on being a support class, where it's like maybe you have an ability called backup dancer that gives other people advantage on whatever they're doing.
Now, you could, and maybe this is too powerful, what if you just present the option to choose either or, depending on the situation?
Maybe. I don't know, yeah. Maybe that's
Like,
too good. Maybe that's too complicated
either-
as a player choice to
Yeah.
be making.
Like, either you get to take an action per ally, or each of your allies get to take an extra action on your turn.
I think the only problem with that is that typically if you have a choice in an ability, that ability then has to be nerfed. Because choices are powerful because they're
And
more
I
useful
feel-
in more
That is
situations.
true.
And I feel like the problem with providing a choice like that is that no matter, like, if you take the choice that gives you more actions, all of a sudden your party feels like you stole those from them somehow.
That's true.
I actually am kind of feeling that. So I'm currently in a campaign, one of the like 3 campaigns I'm in right now. I am a College of Swords bard, and once I got my ability that lets me use my bardic inspiration for myself, it feels kind of weird sometimes when someone's like, give me inspiration. I was like, I was going to use that for a flourish, though.
Yeah.
Now, here's an idea. I think part of what makes this seem like it's taking the spotlight away from you is that you have to use your entire action to do it. So is it too much to make it a bonus action? So, like, you get an action and all your friends get an action?
I kind of like that.
That's not bad.
Like, here's the thing. I'm not saying I don't
No,
like
sure.
the ability.
No, definitely, and I like the ability as well, but as soon as you brought it up, I did notice that. It's like, this is all about drawing everyone's eyes to you, but then you give all your friends an action. And it's like, huh.
Yeah.
But I want all the attention and the glory.
Yeah.
I had the fleeting thought, but then I realized immediately that mechanically it doesn't make any sense. Because thinking of
Look,
it as
this
like,
is the Copper Fox, and when has
what
that ever
makes
stopped?
sense, yeah. But thinking of it as like just brainstorming for ways to make it feel like a choreographed, synchronized move, like, and now, just like we practiced.
Yeah.
Of having it be that you do an action and then each member of your party repeats the same action you did, so it's like you all stab someone at once. But then I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because of class abilities being different from each other, where it's like if I cast a spell, they can't all cast that same spell, you know, so it doesn't really work.
Well, yeah, fair. But yeah, interesting. I think it's like the reason it's inspiring a lot of discussion among us is because there's a lot here. Like, I really think this is a good vein to be mining in for the bard. Like, this is a great option that bards don't currently have. There is a lot of support in bards, but what if there's a bard that really just wants the attention themselves? And I feel like that's an interesting design space that this is all leading towards, and I really like that design space as an option.
A lot of people play bards that way anyways.
Yeah,
I would say one of the things, though, is that what's nice about having bards be such a support class is that when you're playing this 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, I am the best, it kind of helps balance that out. So just make sure that if you are playing this, or if as a DM you let someone play this, that, like, they don't let it go to their head too much, because remember, as a player, your job isn't to actually steal the show.
The spotlight from the other players. Yeah. Fair
You're
enough.
all playing.
Yeah.
You're all playing together. You are an ensemble. You know.
Ensemble.
So like,
Correct.
just remember that. But I absolutely love like the flavor of this. It's so good. It plays on everyone's ideas of bards that we already kind of have, and leaning more towards the theatrical vaudeville Broadway side is like, mwah.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
I really think that there is some room here for maybe the 6th and 14th level abilities to be reworked a little bit into a bit more fine-tuned version of either being a support class that like kind of like gives everybody else the limelight, or the opposite and takes it more to themselves. Because I love the idea of an ability that essentially is like in TV shows, there's often, if they run long enough, the percentage chance that they'll do a musical episode eventually increases, right? With every season that a TV show runs.
Especially cop shows.
Any kind of show, though, really. At a certain point. I think it's called, like, Weber's Law or something like that.
Has Supernatural done a musical episode?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My gut reaction to that statement was, I think they did too.
So my favorite thing about the trope of TV shows that do musical episodes is there's almost always, during that musical episode, a character that like doesn't know why everyone else is doing a musical, and they're sort of outside of it, but they somehow get dragged in, and even they know the choreography, and they're like, how is this happening? I wish that could happen in this subclass, where you are in a fight, and you're like, all right, it's time for the musical number. And you get up and you're like, when we walked in the dungeon, we wanted to... And all of a sudden, all of the enemies are like, what's happening? I can't stop myself. And they are joining in with you.
Well, that kind of goes with one of the options we were talking about for All Eyes on Me, where it's more like you compel everyone to join your crowd and dance.
Yeah. Because that would be such like, as long as you continue singing for X amount of time, like they all have to dance with you, and like they have to, if they fail the wisdom throw or whatever, they're forced to be your background dancers, and they can't use their action for anything else because they're doing this like musical bit. But they are also like aware they're being made. They're like, help, guys, help me! I can't stop doing jazz squares.
That was actually something that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discourse in the kind of online D&D community right now that I've come across about like charming spells and compulsion spells. And I would just be aware as you're writing abilities. So something like this specifically, I think it feels very different to say that they're dancing, like their legs are moving and they're like, what's happening? Why can't I stop dancing? And to say that they are like charmed and willing participants feels different. And it's like they don't have to be charmed to be compelled to dance and stop fighting. Mm-hmm. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I really enjoy this. Thank you so much, Jollibee Johansson, for sending this in to us.
Accent.
I think that there's a lot of like fertile ground for this subclass. And I think that there's a lot that can be done with this. It's a promising direction, and with some more work, some more reworking, a future version of this would be something I'd enjoy playing it in a game that I'm a part of.
Definitely.
I really gotta say, that first ability, the like roll deceit instead, I haven't seen anything like that.
That's a very unique
And I
take,
gotta
yeah.
give you credit just for that. Like, I'm giving you credit anyways. But, like, I'm
we
not
were
saying...
gonna say we designed this, but now we respect
Now
it.
we'll give
I
you
just-
credit.
I don't mean give you credit like that. I mean, like, I
She
already
meant like
liked
she
it.
was gonna give it an F, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like,
No,
I
just kidding.
really props to you for coming up with something I haven't remotely seen before. Really, really nice.
And I think it's impressive that all four of us are actors, and we all four immediately were like,
Yep,
"Oh, that's
that's it.
brilliant!" But
There it
we've
is.
never thought of it, and that's awesome.
That's great. Thanks so much. If you enjoyed our discussion of this and want us to discuss and give some feedback on a homebrew you've been working on, listeners, send it to us at our email, thecopperfoxinn@gmail.com, or on social media at thecopperfoxinn. Remember to like the video and subscribe for future Dungeons & Dragons Homebrew Discussion 5th edition content. Comment below your thoughts on the Bardic College of Majesty. And until next time,
Keep on adventuring.
I was gonna do keep on adventuring, but also like keep on adventuring, and then you guys join in
no.
with me, and you guys do
Keep
some
on, keep on, keep on,
keep on, keep on, keep on.
And I'm the pragmatic character that goes, why is this happening?
He's the stage manager.
Oh no. Oh no, it's true.
See you next time. Keep on adventuring.